He had a strong Elise game, so I think both pick work. I wonder which one River is going to favor. There it is.
Elise.
Yeah, there it is. It's the Elise pick. It's also interesting to see that Caitlyn hit the ban table, Emily, because it basically means that FlyQuest recognized the same thing we did, right? That it was still effective in the early game, even if it wasn't able to push its advantage all the way to a victory.
Yeah. Up, and they're going for the Ksante, which is pretty interesting if they want to pick it this far up front, because then they would be able to flex. Or they can just take the Zeri.
Yeah, rethinking it here at the last possible moment. And no, once again, we're baited. It is the Ksante locked in.
Yeah, I think the Zeri angle is something that they have to deeply consider if they want to take it away from Stixxay, who had 2 really good games on it. I think Prince last series, even though they did not win any, he had a really incredible game on the pick. So it's something that he can very comfortably play. And I think the thing for me is what else Spica goes to, given that he was knocked off the Maokai. I know they banned it themselves, but otherwise 100% Golden Guardian's probably going to first pick that one. So see where they go. Ooh, the Lucian Nami angle.
Completely forgot about that. That's what made Prince and Winsome so effective throughout the split, the Lucian Nami, and you're not going to take away the Nami whatsoever, so they're just going to have to play against it.
And that is super interesting because now you see where the Caitlyn ban kind of matters, right? Because if they're setting up for Lucian Nami, this is something that Raz just mentions, they were super successful with. Early on the split, it was something in FlyQuest last series. We were like, if you want a pushing lane, we're curious as to why. And this is the first time that Lucian has been left open for Fly.
But I also love the fact that Huhi here, instead of just going for the handshake, Lucian Nami, Zeri Lulu, they go for Xayah Rakan because Huhi needs to be able to engage, right? We think their teamfight structure hasn't been good. They're still maintaining their early game identity. This is Golden Guardians with the Elise first pick, but having Huhi being able to initiate teamfights, I think plays better to their strengths.
What's interesting is like Golden Guardians is holding mid-top for their 4-5, which makes a lot of sense, and now it's going to give a lot of power for Elise to play towards both lanes, where usually Xayah and Rakan can be relatively safe bot lane. It's going to be tough going up against Lucian Nami, but that's going to be the idea, where FlyQuest is holding their jungle going on 4-5 with the Ksante flex. So I think the Ksante flex is, while Golden Guardians would use it to put the Ksante mid lane, I still think that Impact is going to be the one that takes the Ksante and give Vicla the wealth of options going into the 4-5. So I'm interested what that's going to be. It should just be straight jungle bans. We've already seen a lot of jungle bans in first phase. And so Spica going in second phase without any junglers picked is interesting to me.
I mean, this is something we saw them do before, though, right? Like when they did target Spica previously, he just locked in the Amumu and
True.
So he's just like, oh, whatever, I'll play Amumu. The most interesting thing I think is going to be who the mid is going to be, what the mid laners are going to be coming out on both sides, especially with the Jace, Yone, and LeBlanc bans coming out. Also up there, you see Licorice's champion pool in playoffs versus regular season. I also agree with you, Raz, where they assume that Ksante is just going blind top, even if it is a flex.
Well,
now we have Gragas, which can also flex.
Gragas is a snap pick.
Yeah, there's no way. Golden Guardians has to basically blind everything here. This is exactly what, I mean, Golden Guardians was doing on red side in terms of having a champion that can go mid, jungle, or top, which would be Gragas. Spica is a good Gragas as well, so Golden Guardians has to be actually very conservative with these picks.
Dash, in the green room, you were talking about the Croc Pass.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think Licorice has the Croc Pass here? It's a safe top laner that is good.
I feel like he forfeited his Croc Pass with an earlier performance in the playoffs, but perhaps he could put in a provisional application to regain it in this fourth and very important game, but I like that Malphite hover.
Pass?
I like the Rock Pass over the Croc Pass for sure, if I do say so myself. Please lock that in.
Please lock in the Rock.
It's OP. You just do it. Come on now.
I can't believe we forgot about the Malphite.
W and walk at him, baby.
It's a blind Malphite, though. It's so risky.
It is.
You could easily throw.
Yes!
There it is.
Oh, man.
There it is.
Oh, man. Let's go.
This is a risky draft for Golden Guardians to try and stay alive in this series.
Yep,
talk about team fighting, though. Talk about team fighting.
Oh, the Sylas in.
The Sylas.
Gragas jungle, Ksante
punching.
mid, Sylas top. Impact always wants to play Sylas top for the last 3 years.
You think this is him calling
There
for it?
it is.
No.
This is Impact.
It's going mid for Vicla. It's a good matchup into the Tristana. You can survive it pretty early on. A lot of good ultimates to steal. A Sylas with Malphite ultimate, with Rakan ultimate. Just so many good targets here to steal away.
Yeah, you're right. It's going mid.
And I like what FlyQuest did on red side here. Like, this is a nice, confident draft from them. I like having the pushing lane for Prince. I know I've kind of made my name as a Lucian Nami hater over the weeks. But I want to see how FlyQuest play around it, and something we've seen them have success on before.
All right, well, there you have it. Comps are locked in this all-important game number 4 in our lower bracket finals between FlyQuest and Golden Guardians. For FlyQuest, they can get it done right here, right now. For Golden Guardians, they need to extend it to a fit to keep themselves alive in this postseason. With that, it is my pleasure to hand
The ballistic missile ready to steal away the Malphite ult.
I mean, this is the worst pick to see on the other team when you lock in Malphite. You're building tank. No matter what the matchup, you're building tank. This guy's just going to have your ulti, but 10 times better. It is so terrifying when Sylas has access to a Malphite ult or an Amumu ult, something like that. I'm going to be honest, I forgot about it. I think Golden Guardians probably forgot about it too.
Oh, Vicla just jumped over the wall into the middle of 5 people. First blood, Licorice.
Golden Guardians welcome Sylas into the game with open arms.
That is actually super smart because that play could have been done by Gragas or Sylas. Both those guys can actually look for that sort of play where they E over the wall and they look for that engage potentially. So really great start, just a smart brush stack there.
Head first.
That's the best part of the matchup for Malphite versus Sylas.
Right there, yeah.
It's all downhill.
When he's got 4 teammates around him.
Yeah, and level 1.
All right, so Sylas not up to the start that he wanted, but Golden Guardians are loving this in a game that they must win. Now Vicla, they see him again. They see him again. Sylas, what are you doing? Get back.
He's warding. He's just warding. All right. Warding up the Raptors there. Doesn't want to get ganked for a repeat.
It's also interesting, River back to the electrocute. That's what I see more with Elise. In the previous game, he went first strike. Didn't feel like he got incredible value out of it. So, really strong early game ganking Rune. We can see this one more time. E over the wall.
Production a big fan.
Oh, got one. Uh-oh.
Oh, got 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yep.
See you.
I love Huhi's reactions.
Yeah, because Huhi's the guy who just slightly steps out of the brush. He's like, oh no, Sylas saw me. I hope he doesn't go after me.
Oh, I actually love that from Vicla, too. Vicla was clapping for him.
Yeah,
He's like, all right, well played, well played.
All right, I took the bait. But of course, Vicla did not spend a summoner spell or anything of great consequence in that death. He just died. Like, that's the only thing that he lost out on. So that does mean that he still has all his playmaking tools available to try to get back that little bit of a disadvantage that they got from Golden Guardians picking up the first blood.
Another early look from River towards bottom side, though.
They know that Lucian and Nami want to play aggressively, so they're ready to shadow this. Spica's coming down through the lane as well. Both junglers just trying to see if the other side's going to get too aggressive.
Yeah, now look where the Elise is now. He's actually in the enemy jungle here. He's going to check Wolves, potentially. Doesn't see him, but he is moving over towards mid lane. I don't think either jungler is going to end up seeing each other.
I mean, the entry ward saw him go when he was going on.
Saw him moving.
Vicla enjoying the fun of laning against Trist as a melee early on. Constantly going to be suffering those auto attacks. Constantly going to be shoved up underneath the turret. Bottom lane 2v2 continues trading back and forth all the meanwhile.
And I think the last time we actually saw this Sylas versus Trist mid lane matchup, it was actually Vicla playing the Trist, who had a really rough game in that one. I think that was against Cloud9, if I recall correctly. And, this is one of these matchups that, as the Tristana, you must stay ahead. You need to have the push. You need to have this Sylas constantly having to deal with farming, getting poked away at. Because if the Sylas gets ahead, he can just constantly threaten all-ins. And when he forces you to actually rocket jump out, his E cooldown is much shorter. He can start to get really aggressive. And all of a sudden, the Trist becomes really useless.
And usually it's way more difficult versus Elise, but they're doing a very good job tracking the Elise. You see the second ward there as well from Vicla saw Elise travel up to the top side of the map. And River's been making these rounds, but has been tracked the entire time here by FlyQuest.
Oh, you hate to see it happen. You actually can't go over that corner. You have to go over the thin part where those trees are first. Yeah. If you try to go straight over that corner, you are going to faceplant into it. He wanted to E over the wall, wait for the cooldown, and potentially look for something. Likely would have been more of a coverage play anyway. I don't think you're going to try to dive at this HP without any sort of hard engage. So really was just the coverage play, and since Elise is not down here, it doesn't end up mattering.
That is the spot of the famous Scar Award from many years ago. And just like wards, Gragas is not easy to aim over the wall.
Gragas doesn't fit either. Like this Krug ward, though, from Licorice to see second Krug spawn here, find Spica, so they're able to track the Gragas.
Ooh. Stixxay below half HP here as Prince expends all of his mana trading back and forth.
It is worth noting Licorice is actually doing the W max, which has become so popular in melee versus melee matchups on the Malphite. It's one of the reasons that this champion is just so strong in solo queue right now. Your melee trading is really, really strong. And especially at max rank when you get some CDR, the thing is practically permanently up, so Malphite can do actually a surprising amount of damage. Not like you're going to be 100-0 in Ksante or anything like that.
Right.
It is worth noting, and he's going to have all that extra armor and tankiness as a result of it.
Yeah, those buffs are what brought Malphite right back into the front row seat here for top side in a lot of these tank matchups.
It's worth noting Gori just rushing tier 2 boots. He's going Merc Treads, so very defensive first item here on the Tristana. It is going to be double AP mid/jungle, so getting a little bit of MR in there early does make some sense, but attack speed very important on Tristana, and I've seen more commonly people just go null, sit on that, go towards Berserker Greaves, and maybe make that null something like a Hex Drinker later on that can help to answer that burst. So in this case, he's just really prioritizing the move speed of the tier 2 boots, trying to actually sidestep skill shots and stuff from Vicla.
Yeah, and that safety is going to allow him to get the first push on mid lane, be able to move and roam with River, and try and make use of this Elise.
Neither jungler has done a whole lot so far in this early game. Only kill is still just the level 1 face check from Vicla's Sylas. The goal difference is still pretty much just that kill and the assist money after it. Vicla jumps in, goes after Gori, bursts him pretty low, and Gori's ready to go right back in and re-engage. River throwing out the cocoon, but he's not going to find anything with it.
Yeah, he didn't get the last auto for the rocket jump reset, so he has no rocket jump now, and it's in these windows that you've got to be so scared, because when you get low and Sylas gets low, the Kingslayer works in his favor, both for healing him up and for actually executing you, so that can be really risky. Gori's going to have to back it up here and just look for a reset early on. But I do think FlyQuest on the other side, if this Elise is not able to actually get any ganks off early, if you can just farm freely to 6 and have neither jungler doing anything, you're feeling really happy about your position as Spica.
Oh yeah, especially when his flash comes back off cooldown. That will be the big playmaking moment for the FlyQuest jungler.
Gori still at about 350 HP, trying to farm up all these minions, does not want to fall behind in farm. It's what you were talking about, Isaac. Tristana cannot afford to be playing from a disadvantage against Sylas.
Also like what they do there, both teams actually sending their supports to help push the wave, but also just to help to soak towards level 6. Rift Herald spawns before supports will get level 6 if you just stay towards bottom side. Oftentimes, they need to soak a little bit out of mid lane, a little bit of a roam timer there for both of them. They don't want to get too far behind the curve.
Yeah,
if you don't have your ultimate, then that is just a huge, huge detriment to that fight.
Absolutely. It's just smart stuff from both sides, right? Huhi goes, tries to cover Gori on that ward, and if one of the supports doesn't actually show up, then because it is a cannon wave, you don't have that Targons from the other side, you can get that push, you can get a really advantageous base. So Huhi makes that first move, Winsome is there to match, he's not playing Spell Thieves, he is actually playing a Targons of his own, so he's respecting the potential of that engage.
Culling from Prince, mostly blocked by Huhi. Stixxay takes a little bit of the damage. The FlyQuest are just trading those cooldowns for the health bars of Stixxay and Huhi, trying to maintain that tempo in the bottom lane. Gori firing back into Vicla here, wants to get the reset on the rocket jump.
And a big reason for those trades on bottom lane, trying to get the early push on minions, is because of this Rift Herald that River has started on Vision.
Gori trying to get past Vicla and Spica here, joining up with the safety of Licorice and River. The Herald's at about 2,300. Licorice goes in. They want Spica. They take out the enemy jungler. And River repels up into the air just before he's killed. He's finished on the first. And now Gori and Licorice have to try to run. Licorice wants to take Vicla with them, but there just ain't no way. They go all out. And then Prince gets paid. Now Stixxay's ready to join up, but he can't find the damage. Golden Guardians lose out massively. FlyQuest just hit a payday.
I want to call your attention back to the culling trade that we saw on the bottom side of the map before this whole play started that allows Prince and Winsome to get the first roam from bottom lane up the river. They're a couple seconds ahead of the Golden Guardians bottom lane. Huge difference makers there. And Impact ensures that they actually get a long trade exiting that Rift Herald fight and get even more kills. Massive, massive stuff there from FlyQuest.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that Golden Guardians bot lane, though, just had to accept that it was a lost fight, that they were too late to actually show up there. Because, it is this initial play, as you're talking about, that gets them prio on bot side, then the Herald fight breaks out on top side. But by the time that Huhi and Stixxay arrive, the fight was already lost, right? And they're opting essentially into a 2v4 at that stage. The initial engage from the brush, flash ulti, Cocoon to follow it up. They burst down Spica, but as soon as Gori starts getting pushed back because Prince arrives, this is an L. You just got to take it and just move on. Because look at Rakan here. Rakan is level 5 showing up, and you're walking forward into this fight. There's no way you win this fight. Prince is still at 100% HP. Yes, there's some low health bars on Impact as well as Vicla, but you are not strong enough to burst these guys down.
Yeah, and that Q3 from Impact onto Stixxay, that was a doozy. Yeah, he knows it. Huge stuff here for FlyQuest in the early game. And this early game has been a stage of this whole series that has been dominated by Golden Guardians. But with those kills, FlyQuest, they draw it back to even.
And 2 of those kills went to Prince. You know, that is so big to be able to get this first item power spike really quickly. Licorice pushing back Impact, especially when you're going for this rated Dirk. If you then don't actually have a good early stages of the game, sometimes that Gale Force can be pushed back so far. Winsome is here, though. They want to fight.
Winsome fired off the tidal wave already. Spica and Prince are coming around from behind. Vicla putting a lot of damage into Huhi and Stixxay already. Huhi wants to get out. One more auto attack will take him. Vicla's got his sights set on Stixxay. Spica's still alive with 100 HP as Licorice finally gets the kill with the brutal strikes. Now Vicla still looking for that last little bit of Huhi's health bar. Vicla goes on a killing spree. FlyQuest got 2 but lost 1 with Spica down.
Vicla did so much work with the stolen Rakan ultimate on the Golden Guardians bottom lane, 1v2, and then Winsome throws a bubble from downtown by the tri-brush to hit him for the follow-up, and they get such a big health lead, they could just push back towards their own tower and get the extra kill here. Was an answer on a single kill there, though. You know, Licorice is doing a lot of work on this Malphite. It is kind of unfortunate for Golden Guardians that all the kills are going to the Malphite, but he is putting in a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a good job here, but they're just pushing so aggressively past. You look at the mini-map and you see the move is going to come so much faster here from FlyQuest. Gori is trailing the play very heavily. The first TP comes in. There is that stolen Rakan ultimate that you're talking about, and the bubble to actually follow it up onto Huhi. He's getting burst down, so Prince can just go aggressive as Licorice actually flashes for Prince. Prince just flashes away aggressively, trying to finish off this bottom lane. The disengage ulti comes through there from Spica onto River. They are pushing them back. But again, it is a one play here, you have to say, from FlyQuest. The gold may be somewhat even because you dropped Herald, but FlyQuest are going to be really happy to come away with an extra kill. And an early mythic completion here on Vicla means Gori is already going to be struggling in this 1v1.
Exactly. Remember, the recipe for success for FlyQuest were the games where Vicla performed on Jace. He was a huge second carry threat for them, not just Prince. And this time around, he's accomplishing that on the Sylas, which is even more scary because he can get in there and initiate himself with a Rakan or a Malphite stolen ultimate.
And that makes the Everfrost even stronger because you have the guaranteed point and click of that Malphite ult, of that Rakan ult to come CC them up, and then the Everfrost is going to follow. You have the E-chains to follow that. You've got so much.
Golden Guardians trying to start up the Drake, but it's FlyQuest ready to respawn. They'll shove them off, and now they have control over the bot side. River impacts here on the front side, and he goes all out. They instantly kill Huhi. They instantly follow up on River, and Prince gets a double kill. FlyQuest gets a Drake, and Golden Guardians get their ass kicked.
Impact keeps making these picks in the high-pressure game here. FlyQuest on the brink of winning the whole series. He gets 2 more here with the ult, and then with another Q3. You can't go near this, man, or you're going to lose your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Licorice was coming in. I'm not sure if they were really on the same page on that engage, because Huhi popped his ulti very early. Licorice's ult was still on cooldown. Yeah. He needed about 10 seconds for the Malphite ult to come up. If that engage from Huhi comes in and the Malphite ult goes over the top, everything at once, it could have worked out. And that's just kind of insult to injury. But I'm going to be honest, I think if that gets canceled, he kills him.
Yeah, he has a Malphite ultimate.
Yeah.
Kind of lucky that recall went off.
So it's looking dicey. The walls are closing in a little bit here already on Golden Guardians. When you look at the composition on the other side, when you realize we haven't even seen this stolen Malphite ultimate flexed yet, it's going to be hard from Golden Guardians.
And you guys have already pointed out, Isaac, you talked earlier about how Tristana needs to stay ahead of Sylas. Kobe, you talked about how if Elise doesn't do anything before level 6 and you're Spica, hey, that feels great. Well, we've got both of those things currently working in the favor of FlyQuest, and mid-jungle has been such a story so far this series for both these teams. If your mid-jungle is doing what they need to do to win the game, you've got a really good shot of sending that advantage all the way to the Nexus.
So now is a unique test for Golden Guardians. They have not been tested on comeback mechanics yet in this series. They keep on starting with these big leads, but they do have some tools to make plays, and they do have double carries that, when fed, can earn them a win condition here. So Elise trying to get into the fog of war, either out of Malphite ultimate, Elise Cocoon, or Rakan ultimates. They need to make a pick here to get themselves a way back in this game.
And we just got to see them clean up the coordination, because I think Huhi has really looked on a different page from the rest of the team, in this game so far. When you look at that late arrival to the Herald fight, where they then kind of walk forward, they give up those easy kills. Then this Dragon fight here, where he goes in very early with the ulti, give another set of easy kills. And we know Prince is one of those preeminent Lucians in the league. This is one of the guys where you have the faith that he can carry the game if you get him a lead. He can really run with it.
Yeah, if Prince has a 4-0-2 start with his Gale Force already there, next to the Dirk, next to the Zeal, man, this guy's in prime position to carry the game.
And this series is making me a believer in Vicla carry too. I was a little bit 50-50 on him in the regular season. Some games, big carry performances, but also some big disaster ones for him. This series, though, has really been a strong showing. And this Sylas, with the stopwatch being ready, 8 stacks on his Dark Seal, he's primed yet again, level 11 with Flash, to make a big play.
Let's see it. We got the next Rift Herald spawned up. Spica gets jumped on by Gori, trying to chunk down this enemy jungler, but Stixxay has to pay the other way with his own ultimate. He loses half HP as well, and now the Xayah is much more vulnerable in the upcoming fight. Impact rotates himself down. TP ready to bring the Sylas up to the fight before the Herald gets too low. Golden Guardians still trying to go after it. Vicla has stolen away the Malphite ulti. That's exactly where he wants to be. And Golden Guardians recognize this is too much trouble.
Yeah, it gets actually really awkward how you have to play the fights as a Malphite into a Sylas. You can't walk in and be that frontline threat like you normally are. You literally have to be hiding in brushes and stuff and try to make sure that they can't find an easy pick.
Vicla goes in. Stixxay has no ulti, but he has a team. And Vicla just sends it. But is it enough? Can he get away in time? He gets out, and Golden Guardians can't punish.
He almost threw away a very big lead, a very big bounty there. He saw the angle on Stixxay. Stixxay gets out with just the Gale Force and heal and ultimate, though. So, him, not too many big cooldowns. Actually, ultimate was already on cooldown, just the Gale Force and the heal. And it does get the stopwatch there. Vicla really feeling himself, though. You can tell. They can almost already feel the end of this series. FlyQuest are definitely confident.
And the stopwatch doesn't hurt nearly as much because he almost has a Zonius, so he's going to be able to upgrade that here pretty soon. But just looking, with this level 2 ultimate here, stolen from the Malphite, he ease forward, looks for it. Great Gale Force from Stixxay, as you called out, Kobe. Was really well played to avoid the initial engage. And then Licorice comes over here, and you're like, well, he just fed over a big bounty, potentially, to the Xayah. But he has the flash, he has the heal from Winsome, and is able to stay safe.
Really impressive stuff there to be able to get away from it. Not quite as impressive to yeet yourself in there like that and unfortunately come close to death. Gori down to 25% HP. Calling coming out from Prince as he looks to keep this fight going. Stixxay has to flash. Vicla's got the stolen Rakan ulti, but he can't hit the E2. That means FlyQuest can't chase it any further, and Golden Guardians all get to walk away. Meanwhile, topside, Licorice versus Impact. No matter how many kills the Malphite gets, it's still pretty tough to deal with Ksante.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Especially when he goes all out, that damage is going to be really high. But at the end of the day, FlyQuest able to get another Herald's Crash here, get that mid lane tower. And it was this play that started out. Gori's actually looking for the Tristana play, trying to actually rocket jump behind Prince and knock him in. But Prince, had the reactions to actually dash away, keeps himself safe there. And then it's just full-on retreat for Golden Guardians here, as it is FlyQuest in an incredible position at this point.
Okay, so in the end, Dragon traded for topside turret here. Golden Guardians at least get some gold back for themselves to try and fight their way back in, but that's honestly exactly what they have to do. They have to fight their way back into this game because it is not going to just come to them. FlyQuest are not going to deliver a big, massive opening.
And while Chemtech Soul isn't usually considered one of those top tier ones, it's super good on Sylas and Ksante. As your health actually gets low, these fighters that are really in the mix of things get high value out of that increased damage and reduced damage taken.
I mean, Kasante's ult alone pretty much puts him at the threshold for getting the bonuses. Sylas wants to be half dead for most of the fight anyway to get maximum value out of the Kingslayer. And I mean, hey, everybody else is always going to love it anyway. If you're trying to focus down the AD carry and he always has to fight back barely hanging on to life, then he's going to feel pretty good too. And honestly, FlyQuest are loving the game state here. They're going to take down this tier 1 turret in the top side, the remaining tier 1 turret of their opponents just before the 20-minute mark, go back up to a 3,000 gold advantage, and go back up to controlling Summoner's Rift with the Baron about to spawn.
And FlyQuest composition actually has a really good turn off of objectives. So even though it's very early in the game, they could set up pretty deep Baron vision, you know, have some moments where they try and bait Golden Guardians over, make them face check, and you just fish around. Steal a Malphite or Rakan ultimate, fish around, see if you can get a Gragas play or something like that. Nami ultimate turns are very dangerous. So vision control is going to become a big issue here for Golden Guardians, so they're going to have to try and get that under control.
It's tough, man. It's tough because not only are you behind like this, but we're back in a situation where you've got Elise, and now it's past 25 minutes, and you still have to play Elise. So it's not a very good situation.
I can't change
compared to something like a Gragas, compared to something that has this value in these bigger
Pick
fights.
to the shop, traded in for an Echo jungle.
Where is this the Summoner's Champion book so I can
give me Summoner's Champion book so I can play something that hyperscale. Unlucky, not in the game, but Golden Guardians are trying to keep themselves in this one. FlyQuest continues controlling neutral territory. River now going to get jumped on, him and Huhi. They take the Blast Cone, they get away. Chemtech Rift, of course, makes those a maximum power escape card, so they'll disengage with that. Meanwhile, the top laners continue trading on the other side of the map.
Yeah, I do always find this Rift interesting to play around. There's so many more vision denial tools as well.
Yeah.
You have all of these kind of sweeper plants that you can be constantly shooting out, so it's a lot easier to actually clear out wards.
It's funny how Chemtech Rift went from being my least favorite in the original version to my most favorite now. Well done, design team. Turning that one around.
Spica goes in, but he might just go down. Huhi escapes. Tristana bomb will explode, but Spica takes a swig out of the barrel and stays just fine. Going to be a couple of health bars chunked out on both sides here, but nobody dangerously close to death.
And they do at least force out the TP there from Impact. You know, you called it out, Spica was really low, had to go into the stasis, and Impact TP's in trying to bodyguard to make sure they can't actually burst him down afterwards. So they don't get the kill, but they do get some resources. And Golden Guardians are going to have to continue whittling away at their opponent's resources here. But you can see how confident Vicla is. He's already got the Mage Eyes here. Third item, upgrades it.
I love it.
He is really strong at this point and feeling confident that he's going to be able to continue putting pages in that book.
Yeah, if you couldn't tell, he was confident from his attempted play on his Stixxay before.
Yeah, he's feeling it here. Impact going to run into 3 players from Golden Guardians here in the river. Unfortunately for Golden Guardians, they're going to need more than that to kill this Ksante. Jack's show plus the Sunfire Aegis completed means it's just so hard to deal with this guy, man. You can't punch through him when you've got 2 AD carries trying to deal with this massive armor stacking tank.
And unfortunately for you, he can punch through you. Just pop the ultimate, becomes a damage-dealing champion. Looks like nice priority gained by Golden Guardians, though. They recognize if we lose full vision control, like I was talking about, it would be a really big issue. So they made a hard push into the Baron area, but it has cost them split pushing. Look at the bottom lane. It's going to be a whole tower and a flank.
Boy, they engage the body slam flash from Spica to guarantee the kill on Licorice. And now FlyQuest want to turn their attention back on the remainder of the Golden Guardians line. Stixxay lets the feathers fly, but Vicla's still looking to chase him down. He steals the Xayah ulti, just making sure that if he goes in, he can get back out. Gori's coming up to join him, so FlyQuest won't get any more after the pick on Licorice.
Yeah, I mean, that was really well managed by them. They say, okay, fine, you want to expend everything for vision on Baron? We get a split push tower, and they got a flank, taking down the Malphite here, so big gold gains now for FlyQuest, and they can just have plenty of time to reset for Dragon.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really starting to time. There's a ward on here. Golden Guardians now knows they have been spotted, but are they feeling desperate enough to flip it? I think they are. They do have double marksman, so it's going to be going down quick.
It's a YOLO play from Golden Guardians. FlyQuest do not have their jungler anywhere nearby.
They should have
this should go down. Golden Guardians sneak a Baron at their darkest hour.
Sometimes desperation will breed innovation, and they just rush straight at it. They know a Hail Mary is worth it. They get the Baron. FlyQuest's going to try and push back, and they should be able to get the Dragon for themselves, but what a heist from the Golden Guardians.
Yeah, that's huge. It gives them another lease on life in this game. Will at least keep them alive for now. FlyQuest does get the tier 2 mid, though. Are going to take their 3rd Dragon here. So it is going to be soul point for FlyQuest, who are still fully in control of this one. The Golden Guardians got a lot of work to do if they want to claw their way back in, but at least Gori will very soon have his quick blade, so they're going to be 2-item spikes with both their marksmen. They do have a lot of damage, but it's very difficult to play these fights out to deal with Vicla. You know, you're just naturally clumping as you're targeting the same person. And if you were ever clumping up here for Vicla, stolen Rakan ulti, stolen Malphite ulti to shred you.
Well, the nice part for Golden Guardians here is there's a lot of standing gold to try to take with this Baron buff. They've only taken a single turret this game. The tier 1s are still up in both mid and bottom lane. So if they can pick any of this up, they can close the gap a little bit closer to where FlyQuest is in this lead. But right now, FlyQuest aren't letting them. They're keeping the pressure on. They're making sure this Baron is nothing more than a band-aid for Golden Guardians' problems thus far.
Yeah, even with the attempted teleport down to the bottom side, it's going to be picked up here by Vicla. And now Golden Guardians, they're grouping as 5 in mid. Vicla now has no teleport. Could be an option.
I don't even know. Do they win that? It's tough.
I don't think you can dive. And Impact's actually being so annoying. He's just playing on the side here. So if they ever fully commit in, Impact can look for that flank and really shred him. A nice trade there from Gori, but really, Vicla's only running because he doesn't know where the other members were from Golden Guardians. And now FlyQuest can move into the top side of the map, try to reclaim vision, clear out some of these wards, potentially take some camps away. You can see how unafraid Impact is. He just knows. Unless one of those marksmen is hitting him, there's no threat whatsoever. And really, even then, he's not under threat until they have LDR. So they really do need that third item coming through before they can start to threaten this front line.
Golden Guardians will at least get the chance to take down one of these tier 1 turrets. Mid lane tier 1 knockdown gives them a little bit more breathing room on the map.
And they're going to get bot as well. You can see Gori is down there, no one to answer him. So the Tristana is going to make short work of that bot tower. So they are going to extend this to a positive Baron play here. You know, it starts at 1,500. They knock down a couple towers. We'll see if this can be traded back. I don't think Impact has the damage. So a good couple plays there as Golden Guardians are just going to be trying to get every little bit of gold they can on the map here before this soul point fight, because that is where their fate is going to be decided.
Yep, and they don't have too much time ahead of them for this. Now you just kind of have to play minimize risk. Don't give up any big cooldowns before that fight. So you'll be looking at people trying to set up these brush plays where they fish for flashes and stuff, but don't overextend and use anything you might regret, because that fight is coming in just 2.5 minutes. And Stixxay's
gonna regret that one. But Gori jumps in and they shut down Prince. Maybe it's not a regret play after all. Double kill over to Gori's Tristana. Golden Guardians hit him in the kneecap.
That was 1K going over to Gori there, and the fail flash from Winsome means a second kill. They can continue pushing here. Can they take the tier 2 mid? I think they can for sure. We'll see how far they can go. That was a massive swing back. As, yeah, sure, Stixxay went down, but Gori just got paid.
Oh, Impact has to retreat back from this. These guys have a lot of damage between the 3 of them. Gori had to back off for just a second. He got the turret aggro from the explosive shot on Impact's head. Golden Guardians get a tier 2. The gold lead shrunk now, back down to 1,000 gold.
I want to say that was too risky. You know, talking about fishing for these plays before the dragon. But look at this play from Gori. Coming out of Fog of War, Prince did not know he's there. He's on a control ward. He gets hit by the blade caller, so he's rooted. So Gori just gets to jump in and get the full Tristana sec glory. It's a massive, massive job here by Gori to jump on an opportunity, and Stixxay with his dying breath got off the blade collar to set it up.
And the flash on the Nami ult to then follow in and get that kill on Winsome, you know, looks nice, but that one I question if it's worth, because he doesn't have flash now for that dragon. The initial kill, fantastic. It is going to be a BT completed here for him, but actually both the marksmen are electing to go for the Bloodthirster to deal with some of this poke and prod instead of the LDR, which still means Impact is going to be a brick wall. They will not be able to punch through the Ksante, so they're going to have to find some way to target these other members on the team if they want to have effective damage.
Sub 60 seconds now on what'll be a Chemtech soul for FlyQuest. Licorice has found himself in a very scary spot. He has to flash away back underneath the turret. Prince dumps a culling into Gori. Huhi tries to absorb a lot of it, but now he's nearly killed. 200 HP left on the Golden Guardian support. 30 seconds on Drake, 50 on Baron.
This is so awkward because now the base timings are really bad. Huhi gets stopped again. He's going to be late to this dragon, and they force the flash off Licorice, which means no flash Malphite ult. You can see that Licorice elected to use his flash instead of his ultimate because he wanted that to be available for the dragon. He knows that that is likely the game being decided here. He didn't have time for it to come back off cooldown, so he spends the flash instead. We'll see if he can find a big ult.
Because the vision is so sparse, they don't want to rush in. ahead of time, and they're going to drop back for the big sweeper.
Double BT is done, but Death Cap just got completed from Vicla, and he's level 16. If he gets a stolen Malphite ult there, rank 3 with a Death Cap, that can be practically a one-shot.
This could be the series right here.
FlyQuest starting up the Drake. Golden Guardians want to send Gori around the side. Everybody else staying together. Licorice looking for a teleport angle. He's going to join up with the main squad in the Pixel Brush. Drake at 4K, 3K, 2K.
Vicla!
Healing back up. Vicla went in, but Stixxay went up. He dodged away from the Malphite engage, but the follow-up from Spica was enough, but it wasn't. Golden Guardians turn it around. Double kill back on the Stixxay, making a triple. Golden Guardians fighting back. It's so much damage. FlyQuest are done. The soul is stopped. The Guardians are gold. The push is mid.
They go mid. They're going to try to end the game here. It looks like they TP both people mid. They're going to try to run it down. Licorice will tank the tower. Golden Guardians may have just flipped the script, turned this game on its head.
Licorice got a 4-person Malphite ultimate there, and they're gonna run it straight to the Nexus. They're gonna run it straight to Silver Scrapes.
Golden Guardians from the grasp of doom comes back and forces FlyQuest to a game 5.
What an engage. What a turnaround from Golden Guardians. They were up against it all game long. It looked like this series was all but over, but that Malphite ultimate, it takes me back to the top lane where Licorice elected to hold on to his Malphite ultimate, spend the flash instead. What does this game look like if he had not made that choice? If he had spent the ultimate in retreat, he wouldn't have had it there. That 4-man ulti, beautifully followed up on by Huhi, the perfect combo on that engage. And the reactions from Stixxay to avoid the engage from Vicla on the other side, everything went right for Golden Guardians in that final fight.
One team fight to make the series extend here, buying themselves extra life in playoffs. Golden Guardians, the underdogs, have done it again in playoffs, pushing us to another game 5.
Game 5 against FlyQuest in a game that looked completely doomed. FlyQuest were so far ahead. They had the comp, they had the move, they had the plays. Let's see it again one more time.
Look at this, look at the reaction time. Remember, that's from Fog, by the way. Vicla went into the Dragon Pit, so he didn't have vision on that coming. He only sees it once he's over the wall, and Stixxay reaction time.
Then right here, gets knocked in. As soon as they're running away, you think it's doomed here for Golden Guardians, but boom, Licorice gets 3 members.
Yeah, Licorice played that so well. He actually backstepped the ultimate from Spica, avoids the Gragas ult, and as River gets knocked in, everyone from FlyQuest converges on the Elise, so they naturally group up for that. They all get hit by the ulti. Huhi comes flying in. Gori goes crazy, who despite his lane opponent getting so fed in this game, Gori played a really, really solid game here, was not getting picked off, was keeping his farm high, and keeping his chances there that if that moment appeared, he would be strong enough to make it happen.
Sometimes in League of Legends, a whole game